scary for me as well as many people. But when you start looking, here are your closing costs that are associated with that bond. And it even gets even clearer when they actually go out to bond. Now remember, they could go up to $15.8 million. They decided to keep it to $15,156,000, which is still $764,000 more than what the actual principal was. This is robbery. When you look at the actual maturity date, they're keeping it to the second bond. This is a government form that has to be filed with the IRS. Its form number is 8038G. Don't ask me why I remember it, maybe because I've said it enough now. But if you were to actually look at line 27 and 28, the $4,075,000 is now $4,265,892. Closing costs were added into that. The $10,311,000 for the second bond is now $11 million and change. It just gets, this is where they're padding it. If you think of your home mortgage, if you were to put on a big addition and you decided to refinance your home, you start all over again, and it's all interest. Your principal is at the end. This is what they're doing to keep us into servitude and into debt, into bondage. Remember, I asked you that $435,000 bond payment for the 1992 bond that was due in 2003. It's now $175,000. We're not even putting the payment for the 2000 bond on here. So what we've done is kind of backed all that principal up. We're going to give you the illusion, and maybe we will pay off that 1992 bond by the year 2010. But we did not make much of a dent in that 2000 bond. We've backloaded it. And so all we're doing is paying interest to these big mega banks. Kind of. Now this here is my township, and I'm only taking one bond because if I was to go through them all, it would shock you. But in 2005, we put out a bond for 705, 581. Anyway, I am missing one bond in here for 890. So that's going to add to this. There were actually 6 bonds that were pulled together and refinanced all at one time. And I just want you to look at just a little bit of each bond. This is the first one. Look at the lifespan. This is what they have authorized, that this equipment is only going to last for this amount of time. And if this is a 12-year bond, we will be on its 3rd replacement before we've paid off the first one. Can you run your household like this? Section 20 costs. These are closing costs. They can be as much as 20% of the bond. Actually, I would say this one exceeds 20%. Again, I love various streets. I don't have one named that in my town. In fact, the majority of the streets in my town are either county or state roads. So the only thing I can think of with various streets is this is where the Department of Public Works comes out with their truck, it takes the shovel, puts the asphalt, pounds it down, runs the truck over it, because I haven't seen the streets done. But we spend a lot of money on various streets. Closing costs, again, it's almost 30%. Again, another bond, $2,240,000. $500,000 for various streets. Various streets again, more closing costs. We're up to $600,000 worth of closing costs. 2 years. The bond that's missing, there's one bond before this that's missing. It's for $890,000. had $60,000 or $50,000 worth of closing costs. It was for purchasing, believe it or not, open space property for $890,000. We pay in our taxes, we approved a 2% or 2 cents per 100,000. Why are they bonding this property? They should be putting the money aside, paying cash for it. Now they're bonding this open space property, which they're collecting money. This is wrong. And this one here was just to put up lights. I'm sorry. If you were to add it all together, the 5 shows 500 or 5,504,000, with actually being 4,916,000 for those 5. It actually ends up being, I don't have the numbers, I can't say them, but you're going to find that the closing costs were actually $203,000, and they banked more money into these bonds. There is a resolution in the state of New Jersey with the Senate. It's Senate Bill number 70. It is to make every town, every municipality, every county honor that the citizens must approve the bond. To me, it doesn't go far enough because it does not address the refunding of those bonds or the refinancing, however you want to see it as. Assembly has a bill by Allison McCose. It is 2319. That's on the Assembly side. It is the companion bill. And I do urge you to call your local senators and Assembly, write them, call, fax, email, and have them want to bring this to the floor. Right now, unless they hear overwhelming response from the public, they're not going to bring it to the floor. It's been on the back shelf for over a year.
What's the Assembly bill number?
The Assembly bill is 2319. The Senate bill is number 70. But those are two very important things. I deal with it on a local level because this is not just or just my town. Can you imagine what your town's bond debt is? My county bond debt of Gloucester is $503 million in bond debt. That was under Senator Sweeney, who was the freeholder for Gloucester County. He was the director, and he's trying to pass himself off as a Reagan Democrat. Nah. Then you have Camden County, which we have Mantua has just been thrown into the 5th district, so I wanted to pull their debt statement. Their county debt statement is $890 million in bond debt. So between the two, we're $1.4 million. I hate to tell this, I pulled Monmouth's debt statement, $890 million for that county. I'm just telling you, this is a lot of... Did you? No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I wish I had. But I have...
That's your job.
I'm going to tell you, it's just filling out an Oprah. The Oprah, all you ask for is the 2010 annual debt statement.
Emphasize that they go to the city clerk for that.
City clerk, that's exactly it. You do the same thing with your individual towns. You ask for your annual debt statement. And I can tell you, when you do have your annual debt statement, it will list every single bond. It will actually say if that bond was refunded. Then when you fill out your Oprah, you fill it out for, you want the bond refunded book and all the books that apply to that bond, because there may be 4 or 5 of them that are involved. I only touch on this because you're going to need a group of people to do this. You cannot, one person cannot do it. The bond books are like 4 pages thick. So all you want to look for is the resolution, which is like 5 or 6 pages. It will give you the lifetime or lifespan of the equipment that they're purchasing.